Hello everyone, my name is Chris and I am one of the technology librarians in the studio at the Sachem Public Library in Holbrook, New York. If you'd like to see some of the cool things that we can do for you in the studio, then head over to sachemlibrary.org and then hover over Services and Resources and then click on Studio. That's where you will find some of the services that we offer. So today I'm going to go over iOS 14 and give you some tips and tricks with some of the new features available for your iOS device. Most of the features that I'm going to show you today are for iPhone only, because when iOS 13 came out, which was the previous version of iOS, they separated the iPad operating system from iPhone. So the iPad's operating system is now called iPad OS. So not everything is exactly the same like it used to be. So first, if you haven't upgraded to iOS 14, be sure that your phone is eligible for the update. So the models that are eligible for the update include all of the iPhone 12s, iPhone 11, all iPhone X or 10, it's the same thing, all iPhone 8s, 7s, 6s, iPhone SE, that's all iterations of that, and also the iPod Touch 7th generation. So if you don't know how to see if you have the latest version, you simply go to Settings and you go to General, and then you go to Software Update. Now, as of the time of this recording, iOS 14.3 was the most recent version, so that's how you know if your device is up to date. If you did have an update, this screen would show you that there was an update and it would ask you to download and install it. So today we're using my personal iPhone, which is an iPhone XS Max. So in case you're following along at home and you have an iPhone 8 or a 7 or any phone that has a home button, I'll explain the differences and some of the features and things that we're doing if you have a device with a home button. So there's a bunch of different things that are really cool new features on iOS 14. The one that's the biggest change is something called widgets. Now, if you see here on my home screen, you can see that I'm in Holbrook and you can see the weather in a big panel that looks a little different than all the icons, and you also see a clock. Those are considered widgets. Those things give you more information than simply just the icon app, or the app icon. So what we want to do is show you how to create these widgets. So it's pretty simple, and it actually, when you do create them, it can be pretty handy because you don't have to open an app to see what time it is or see what the weather is. It's just right there on your screen. Now, before we begin, I have to warn you that when you add these these widgets, they do change the complexion of your home screen and they shuffle all of your other app icons around. So when you're doing this for the first time, I do suggest that you actually go to a blank screen. So I'm going all the way to the end. Oops. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to act as though I'm editing my home screen. So what you're going to do is long press your screen till the apps wiggle. And then if you see across the top, you'll see a button on the top right, which is done. If you hit that, it returns your screen back to normal and it brings you back so you can use your phone. Or on the upper left-hand corner, there's a plus symbol. When you hit that, you get a new menu. And this is the widgets menu. This is where you can create widgets. So Apple has gone ahead and created different widgets for you that you can instantly install. So like, let's say I want to add the music app, I can touch that. And when I do, it gives you options of how big you'd like the app or the widget to be. Now, not every app is going to have three different types of sizes of widget. Some may only have two or one. So just to show you what happens with your home screen, I'm going to add this large widget. So I'm going to hit Add Widget here. Now look what it did to my screen. It moved all of my apps around. So I can actually take this and drag this the same way I would with a regular app icon and move it around. And I can even add it to a new screen here if I want to, or bring it out even further to a new screen here. So when I do that, you can see it kind of discombobulates your apps a little bit when you add it to a spot where there are apps already. So let's go ahead and do this one more time. I'm going to hit the plus symbol, and Let's see. Let's add DuckDuckGo, which is, if you're not familiar with DuckDuckGo, it's a nice alternative web browser that doesn't track your browsing information. So again, here's 3 different ways we can use DuckDuckGo. I'm going to add the small one, and now that's there as well. So you can move this around, and as you move things around, you can kind of manipulate this to make it all work for you. So now that I'm done adding apps, I'm just going to tap the home screen, and now my apps are back to normal. So I'll probably have to restructure these guys later on, but you can see now I have an app, and when I hit, or a widget, and when I hit this, it brings me to my music. It's kind of like a shortcut. Now if I hit this, it brings me to DuckDuckGo, and I'm ready to do a search. So that being said, let's go back and create a new widget. I'm going to add a couple more widgets. So we're going to add this one, and we'll add another one. So I'm going to get a little widget happy for a second. I'm going to add a few of them. Let's see. We'll add a world clock. Oops. And we're going to add one more. We'll add fitness so you can see how out of shape I am. So now we have a whole bunch of these together. What we can do with this now is, let's say I don't want my screens completely taken up by all of these different widgets, but I want all of these widgets. What you can do is put them together in something called a smart stack. Now, if you see here, there's a smart stack that's already there. If I hit that, it's going to show you stuff that Apple thinks you use a lot, and you can add this widget. But you don't have to really worry about that, because what you can do is take these different widgets that you want to use and group together and drag them on top of each other. Now, if you're familiar with adding apps together to make a subfolder, you can do this with the widgets as well. Now, it looks like you can't do it with widgets of different sizes, but you can do it when you add widgets that are the same size. Now, if you see along the right-hand side of the health app the health widget that I just created, there's 5 dots. So I'm going to go ahead and hit done up here. And now it looks like it's just a health app, but if I take my finger and just pull down, I can switch between each one of these widgets. So this is nice because there's 5 widgets here, and they're taking up the space of one widget. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the music widget because it's a little too big. But now you can see you can scroll between these different widgets. So another thing I want to show you with regard to widgets is that there are some apps that are widget capable, and here is a list, if you scroll down in the widget menu, of different apps that have widgets. So let's say I wanted to add Apple Maps. I'm going to choose this size only because I can add it now here. And you don't have to add it. You can stack a whole bunch of them together, but you can also keep them separate as well. So we'll go here, and there's a whole bunch of them here. There's podcast reminders, shortcuts, Siri, Spotify. So these are the apps that you have that currently have the ability to become widgets. And the developers for these apps have to actually enable that and create content to make them look like widgets, widgets that are going to give you information. So you can add a whole ton of these if you'd like. And I'm going to make a couple of these bigger just to show you how much you can do with widgets. So let's go here. Let's do batteries. We'll add that widget. Now you can see that when you create large widgets, they give you more information. Now I'm going to see if I can take this here. Yes, you can stack large widgets as well, which is great because you can get more information being displayed right there on your screen without having to open the app itself. So again, if we go back one more time and go in, you have quick email actions here. You have all these suggested widgets that Apple suggests for you, including Siri suggestions, DuckDuckGo, music, And then the smaller apps for different things like news or Apple TV or Nextdoor Digest, Google Photos, and then it allows you to add some of these others. So this is a great tool for you to use if you are interested in using widgets. Now, for those of you who are Android people or former Android people, you may recall something like this being around in Android. This is the same concept of the widgets that you could use if you had an Android phone, where you can add these extra pieces of information so you didn't actually have to open the app to get the info. My favorite is the clock because I could see that at any time, and then weather. And then you can see I've stacked some things here like my battery power. You can see my phone's at about 50%, my Apple Watch is at 50%, and my earbuds are at 93%. And then I have some shortcuts here and then some calendar stuff, and then back to the weather again. And I can keep stacking things on top of here. I don't know what the limit is. I haven't tried that yet. But again, this is really, really a handy thing to have. So the next thing I want to show you is a new addition to iOS that wasn't around before. And again, this is kind of borrowing some of what the best things that Android has. So if we're going to swipe, I'm going to continue swiping to the left until I get to that last screen that I have. And then after I get to the last screen, instead of stopping, you come to this. This is something that's new. It's called the App Library. Let's say you had an app and you don't remember where it was or what the name was, but you remember the icon. You just can't find it on your screen. Or you know that it did something and you don't remember the name of it. This App Library is a catalog of all of the apps that are on your device that are grouped together by Apple. So this is, I know some people that are just living with this now instead of the home screen. So what this does is it allows you to see what was recently added. So this is a texting app that I use. You could see that there's some social apps here, and when you see them, first, if you see here, in social, you can see that there's Facebook Messenger, Messages, which is the app for texting with iMessage. There's WhatsApp, and then you see these four smaller apps grouped together. If you touch them, it shows you everything that's in that folder. So you can see all of the different apps that I use for communicating on social, productivity and finance. If I hit the small apps there, you can see all of the apps I have that Apple has deemed as productivity and finance. Same thing with utilities. You can see all the things that Apple has grouped together as utilities. And this is something that you can't really make adjustments to. You can touch it and share the app or delete the app, explore it. So you can't really manipulate this too much. Then the same thing for entertainment. So you kind of get the idea that Apple groups all of these things together. And this is just a nice, compact way to find all of your apps based upon what they do. And again, if you're back on your home screen, you're swiping all the way to the left. So you're swiping to the left so your screen moves from the right to the left. And that's where App Library is. That's one of the new features. The next thing I want to show you are some of the cool things in iMessage or your messaging app. So messaging app is this green app with the white text bubble on the bottom. And I'm going to show you two things that have been added to iOS 14 to make your texting experience a little bit easier. So the first thing is, if we touch the messaging app, you're going to see it looks a little different. So if you see now, there's different circles at the top. These are people that I text a lot. And instead of having to scroll through all of my text messages, yes, I text a lot, to try to find that person, I can what they call pin them to the top of my screen. So I have one spot left. You can pin 9 people. So here's my daughter, Julia. So if I touch her and hold her text messaging down, if I hit pin, she now has moved here. And I can actually move her around the same way you can move around your app icons on your home screen. So again, to do that, you would press and hold, and then hit pin, and then it would be pinned. Now I have 9 conversations already, so I can't pin another. So you're basically holding and pressing down on that text message, hitting pin, and they'll move to the top. So that's pinning. The other thing I want to show you is actually within a text. This is my daughter, Julie. So I'm going to text her, "Hi, Julie." And hopefully she's going to reply. So what I'm going to do is now reply to her. "How is your day going?" So let's say we get into a really deep conversation. So send her a message. "Oh, are you?" So now we've had these situations where you're in the middle of a text and you're almost having two conversations at the same time because one person is behind by one question. You can do something called inline replies. So see where it says, "How is your day going?" It's going great. If I press "It's going great," now it kind of pops it out. Now I can hit reply, meaning I'm replying to this. "I'm glad you are having a good day." So when I hit reply, it's going to pop up there. Now to get back to your regular text messaging, you touch the screen again. Now you can see I replied to "It's going great." So they understand, the person you're texting with understands the context of your answer. So if I, again, "Me too," hit reply, "I'm glad you are having a good day." Touch outside the message, and you can see I've replied. So this is a great way to reply to people in context, because how many times have you texted people and you answered a question from 3 questions ago and the person says, "What do you mean? Are you answering this question or that question?" This makes things much easier. Let me see. I'm going to hit reply here. "Gluten-free with pepperoni tonight." And if we scroll back up, oh, and look, she's actually, see, there's the red to that. Now, if you scroll back up, you can see where "Yes, I am," there's actually a reply to that. That would be my reply. So you can see when you make replies to some of these threads. So this is a great way to text message people and keep things in context. Those are all the tips and tricks that I have for you this time. Look for us next month where we'll talk about camera controls that have changed in iOS 14. Again, my name is Chris. Don't forget to check us out at sachemlibrary.org. And if you ever have any questions about the studio or anything having to do with Sachem Public Library, give us a call at 631-588-5024. And if you're looking for the studio, we're at extension 230. Thanks and have a great day.